I'm here now with Trent Johnson from Greely Hat Works in Colorado, a custom hat maker. Trent, welcome to Kreuth.
Thank you for having me.
Trent, we already see this device here in your hand. Can you explain to us what it is you're doing with this dangerous-looking device?
Well, it's only dangerous if you don't have a good attitude. This is called a conformateur. This was invented in Europe in 1843. This one was built about 1900. And what I do is I put it on individual's head, and it moves all these pins around and gives me a picture, the shape of their head. That pattern then we cut out and put into this piece called the Famillion. This makes it life-size, so we can build the hat directly to the customer's head. And then on our custom hats, what we'll do is we'll take that piece and we'll trace it, cut it out of cedar, and we give you a copy of your head, so when you're not wearing your hat, it's being stored on your head 24/7.
To keep it shape.
To keep its shape to your head.
We have a volunteer now. Let's see how this has been done on an actual person.
Okay, great. Okay, so look at me. Yep, there we go. So they put the conformateur on his head to where he wore his hat. Okay, and then what that will do is it gives me this picture, the shape of his head. This is the front. This is the back.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So then what we'll do is we'll trace his pattern. And once we trace the pattern, we'll cut it out and put it into the other piece called the Famillion. Like I said, this set was invented in 1843, and this set was built about 1900. And our store's been around since 1909, so it's been passed down from generation to generation.
So you've had this device since basically it was new.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Okay, so once we cut this out, we put it into the Famillion, which makes it familiar to the shape of the individual's head.
And this the Famillion.
This is the Famillion. So this is going to make it, life size. Okay. Okay, so now you can see that the pattern we took out of the conformateur, we put into the Famillion. That made it life-size. So now this is the exact circumference of his head. So now we could build a hat to his head. And if I could see a straw hat real quick.
Now we're putting the Famillion inside the hat he was wearing.
And that shows how it fits. See, so you can tell that this is a pretty good fit for his straw hat.
So there's a
little gap here and a little gap here, but that's the advantage of having the custom hat. So on a felt hat, we would go ahead and we would cut the sweatband. We would cut the sweatband to the exact size of his head and then build a hat around the mold of his head. And then, like I said, he would get, besides a good high-quality custom-made felt hat, he gets to keep this pattern. So if he comes to Cayuse or somewhere to get a straw hat, he could use this pattern to start to make the straw hat or another hat fit to his head.
Now, you were saying earlier that you were all over Europe. Among other things, you were in Portugal. And tell us a bit, why did you go to Portugal, of all places in Europe?
Portugal is where one of my many felt suppliers is based out of that makes the raw materials, the felt bodies or the hoods that we make our quality felt hats out of. And his brother, it was started by his great-grandfather, and his brother also owns the fur cutting factory. So after the fur is bought off the fur market, it is cut and cleaned and everything so it could be made into a felt hat. And that's his brother's project. And he cuts the fur for probably 90% of all the felt hat makers in the world. So I went to go visit with him about his business as well.
What other places does the fur come from besides Portugal? Are there other countries?
Not much of the fur actually comes from Portugal. A lot of the fur is traded on the open fur market. So, for instance, a lot of beaver, which the higher quality hats are made out of beaver, a lot of that is trapped in the wild in North America, Canada, northern United States. And then a little bit in Europe, and then the European hare or rabbit is in all over, from Germany, Italy, everywhere that the fur is traded and bought and then taken there to be processed.
So the hair, the felt is being caught in the wild, say, in North America, then it's being sent to Portugal,
And then shipped
and,
back.
and then it goes back to Colorado, and you make a hat out of it.
I use one felt maker in the United States and two in Europe, and the advantage, they've been doing this for so long, and they have it down to such a science that I could tell them a certain degree of stiffness I want in a crown or a certain degree of stiffness I want in the brim, and they can make the hat bodies to my exact specifications for my clients, like Joe or Rhinestone in England or Teskey's in Fort Worth. They could make it exactly the way I want, and a lot of the other companies that make raw bodies only make certain bodies. So that's why I like to work with the company out of Portugal.
And if you're interested in getting one of his hats here at Joe Eibelmeyer, a dark colored custom-made Greely hat will run you around 350 euros, and a lighter color around 400 euros, and it'll fit like a glove and last a long, long time. Thank you, Trent Johnson from Greely Hat Works.
Thank you, sir.